She's over. Everybody, welcome to the Paranormal Portal, Bedtime Stories from Beyond. I'm trying an idea out here tonight, but I think these freaking crickets are way too loud. Let me know if the crickets are way too loud. Jeez Louise. I don't know how much quieter I can make them, but they are some aggressive crickets, that's all I can say. But hopefully they're picking up pretty good. It is a lot of crickets, but I'm trying to bring the mood of the portal into your living room. So give you that. It hurts your ears. Okay. Is it just terrible? Okay. I'm killing the crickets. All right. It was worth a shot. I was trying to bring a little bit of ambiance into it just to see what that sounded like, but it's just not mixed well. And I had the feed of it turned down just to a fraction. So I don't know how loud they recorded those at, but they were just way loud. So anyway, welcome everybody to the show. I hope you're having a wonderful night. I'm sounding kind of quiet in my own ears here. Here we go. I guess that got turned down. I got to turn up my monitor level a little bit, but welcome to the show, everybody. This is the Paranormal Portal, Bedtime Stories from Beyond. I am your host, Brent Thomas, and I hope you had a great Monday. It's behind you. Move on. Let it go. Relax. I got to turn on my little fan. Hold on. Or it's going to be the sweaty portal here pretty quick. Adds a little bit of noise, but it's better than me being a sweaty pig right on camera, because there's no coming back from that. It just gets uglier and uglier. So anyway, I hope you guys are doing well, and I hope you're ready, because you sound good here. Oh, thanks, Razor. Relished Razor. But I hope you're ready, because it's time for bed. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show again. We are officially underway now on the Bedtime Stories from Beyond, and got a bunch of stories pulled up for you guys, and great to see all you guys coming in the window here, through the doors, through the windows, through the open cracks. However you're getting in, thanks for being here and being a part of the show. Let's see, the phone line is open. If you want to call in and be a part of the show, please feel free. I'm happy to hear from you. If you've got a story of your own you'd love to share, or some idea that you'd like to talk about, please feel free in doing that. And the phone number is 720-923-0500. Again, 720-923-0500. So just to let you know, it's always available. If you have a story of your own and you don't want to call in and be on the air, but you'd like to share it with the rest of us, then please feel free to email it in to paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. So there's a couple options, just some opportunities there to share what's going on in your world, or with some thoughts that you have. So please take advantage of them. I do love it when you guys send in stories and send in things that have happened to you. In fact, it's my very favoriteest part of the show. What can I say? It's great. Hey, Daniela, good to see you. Hey, Carrie, Sissy, Josh, and Suzanne, Ken, Lewis, Beth, Mary, wow, and Julia. Please call. We love it. Yeah, we do love it. And there's so many more of you here. I'm just looking. Bigfoot Odyssey. That's Carrie. All right, I said Carrie already. Relished Razor, of course. That's my mini-me. And Mary Brignon is in here. Good to see you. Noli 420, Donnie C. Just a whole bunches of you. But great to see you guys. Just rolling through the list here quick. If I missed you, I'm sorry. Renee, good to see you. Josh Jacobs is in here. I just wanted to take a moment, first of all, and just to thank everybody who has. Let me just pull this up here because I don't want to miss anybody. But everybody that has bent over backwards to help out the show. It's just been really cool. We don't usually have a situation where we need or want to ask for help, because I never want the show to be about panhandling or trying to, milk money out of the listeners. That to me is usually really offensive. But when the mixing board fried, I mean, I had no options. I mean, there was nothing else I could do except ask. And so many of you guys answered. It was so cool. And I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge the people that have been sending in donations. Elaine has sent them in. Barb, Charlton, Elaine Clifford. Listener named Paul. He doesn't want any recognition, and that's fine. Todd Evans. Mike Hetzel, MCAT, really did amazing thing. And Elaine again, and then Josh Jacobs. All you guys, thank you so much. It really meant the world that, we had to plead for help, and you guys answered. Again, I don't ever want anybody to feel pressured that they should, or if it's not something you can do, I totally understand. I totally get it. But I did want to take a moment and thank those that did answer and did step up and help. You guys saved the portal. I mean, for now, not that we never would have been on the air, but I don't know how I would have done it. It's just really, really cool. So I just wanted to publicly acknowledge you guys. Thank you so much for everything that you've given and done. The portal continues by, your kindness. So thank you guys so much. All right. So just wanted to do that quick because it was such a huge thing, and I hate to ask for help. I really do. But in a situation like that, I didn't know what else to do. So you guys really stepped up, and thank you so much. So, let's get underway here. I got some stories ready for you guys. Let me get down here. Oh yeah, by the way, last night Julie and I did a little investigating out at a local cemetery. I've got about an hour and a half of probably an hour and a half of recordings to go through. I went through a little bit of it today, but we didn't do a real hardcore investigation, but we went and just checked it out. Got a little, boots on the ground kind of stuff cooking. We had a good time, a really neat experience. Nothing over the top. We didn't have any over the top activity, just, some odd feelings here and there, sensations perhaps, but just a really neat experience. I think it was a really good experience for both of us, and had a really good time. And thanks, Julia, for doing that, making the time to do that. That was a lot of fun, and I look forward to going through those recordings to see if we did perhaps get any EVPs. So, and if we do, of course, you guys, ladies and gentlemen, will know about it because we'll play them on the show here. And Julia had a few apps running, like a word database app that was running, and we'll have to see if any of that correlates with anything that might have come through on the digital recorder. But had a good time, and we brought out the night vision binoculars and looked at the stars a little bit, and looked around, and it was just a neat, quaint little cemetery. It wasn't anything, no local legends, no big stories about this place, but just a good chance to get out there and just see what we could see. I swear I heard a couple wood knocks, though. I'm serious. There was like one, I don't know which direction were we facing. I don't know, but I think it was north or east. And then there was one like knock that way. And then there was another knock at about, let's say it would be west, southwest, out in the woods that way from the cemetery. So it was really kind of cool. And I don't know for sure that those were actual wood knocks, but it was really cool that one happened to the north and another happened to the southwest. So pretty cool experience, maybe, but just a good time. It was a good time anyway, getting out there and just having a good time, getting out into the wilderness, out into the field a little bit. Even though it was more of a casual trip out, it was still good, and we're going to do more of that. So stay tuned for that, ladies and gentlemen. As we do them, we will certainly keep you apprised. Again, just in a couple of weeks, I will be meeting Mr. Dan Pruitt in Montana along with Duke, and we're going to be investigating a ghost town over there up in the mountains of Montana, and that's going to be really fantastic. Really, really looking forward to that one because Dan's going to bring all the toys, and we'll get some opportunity to look into a few things. It's a really well preserved ghost town, and it has a lot of local folklore about it. So hopefully we can get something from there. But again, we'll let you know whatever we find out, whatever we're able to get. So What the Paranormal, hello, how are you? Good to see you. Oh, hey, Wes, thanks for stopping in, brother. Good to see you. So a lot of things on the drawing board here for the portal, but we'll keep it rolling and keep you informed. So let's get to some of the scary stuff, or at least the ghostly stuff. I don't know if it's scary or not. I haven't read them ahead of time, so we're going to read them together. All right. The first one is coming out of Arizona tonight, and let's see. Okay, yep. It says, my maternal grandmother was a really amazing, wonderful woman full of fire and quick wit. She emigrated to the U.S. by herself in the 1920s to attend nursing school in Boston, and then she never left. She moved in with my family when I was just 19 and just leaving for college. In 1984, she was diagnosed with lung cancer and did pass away at home with all of us present. I still miss her just terribly. On that day, light bulbs blew, the answering machine went haywire and never did work again, and the baby monitor between Graham's room and my mother's room picked up nothing but static. My mother had been up with her during the night, and Graham had told her that she was visited during the night by family. No one you would know, she told my mom, and this was only a few hours before she passed away. She was the matriarch for our family and a great source of love and comfort to those that knew her. And we have went on vacations. My sister and I would fight over who got to share a room with Graham. Flash forward to Halloween morning of 2007. I've been in Arizona now for 6 years, and I'm living with my husband in our home outside of Phoenix. And October was still a warm month for us here in the desert, so we did sleep with the fan on, and my husband had left for work early, and I was just laying there half asleep, half awake. And I was listening to the whirring of the fan when suddenly I could hear the voice behind the whirring. The voice sounded familiar. Where have I heard this voice? It kept repeating the same thing. Just wait until December. Just wait until December. I started to repeat it in my head. Suddenly I opened my eyes and snapped myself out of this state, and I laid back down and tried to listen to see if I could hear it again, but there was no other sound. I tried several more times, still nothing. And that voice, I know that voice. It was Graham's. Why December? What's going to happen in December? Being that it was Halloween morning, and all I thought for a second was that I had somehow conjured this up in my subconscious. However, it all made perfect sense. I was raised Catholic, and it is believed that on All Hallows Eve, October 31st, and All Souls Day, November 1st, that the veil between the living and the dead is at the thinnest. We are closer than ever during that time frame, and it's not surprising that if she were going to speak to me, it would be then. Well, time went by, and before I knew it, it was the holidays, and my family all lives in different states, and we had been trying to decide forever where to go meet and to take a vacation together. And we put it off after the first of the year. December 2007 came and went without incident, and I still kept Graham's words in the back of my head. In January of this year, we finally laid down some concrete vacation plans. In addition to my immediate family going, all members of Graham's family have also decided to partake in this reunion of sorts. The month said vacation is going to take place. You guessed it, December. As I've gotten older, I have not experienced much by the way of paranormal experiences, but this was probably the most pleasant thing I've ever experienced. I believe this was Graham's way of letting me know that something great was around the corner, and it pleased her to see the family get together. Very cool story. It's nice to think they still keep an eye on us. They keep watch over us, and they're still participating somehow. It's not always just flickering lights and messing with your TVs. All right. The next one is coming from the state of Virginia. And let me see. Nope, no calls. Okay. It says, well, I'm 16 years old and I live in Virginia and I've had the same cat since I was a baby. His name was Harley and we were really close and always together when I was home. Harley got really sick about 7 months ago and we put him on a couple of medications, but his illness was just not curable. He slept in the my bathroom bathtub the last few nights of his life, and every night I would wake up to him meowing, so I would go and see him. I used to lay in the bathtub with him every day and cuddle him, and when I'd go in there after he died, I'd just sit in the bathtub and cry, and I'd feel warmth on my lap. Harley loved to sit in my lap. Sometimes when I'm in there, I'll talk to him, and the other day I was in there and there was an empty cup in the bathtub, and it started moving. About a month ago, my sister and I both woke up to his meow. Every time I shower, there are noises that come from the bathroom closet. And he used to be in there when I showered or went to the bathroom. I also feel weighted down spots on my bed at night, and he used to always sleep with me. I recently got a kitten named Tommy due to the depression I went through, and I felt I really needed another cat. My mom had said that I could never be as close to another cat like I was with Harley, but Tommy and I are always together, and wherever I am, he is. And I don't know if it has anything to do with Harley, but I felt it was a little strange since cats do their own thing. Cats do their own thing. Like Harley, Tommy was in the bathroom with me when I'm in there, and he gets in the bathtub and jumps around and pounces on things that aren't there, and he'll run around, and he also does this in my room some nights. The nights I talk to Harley, he's usually in my dream that same night. The dreams are always the same, but different locations, since it was at my country house when I got Harley, and it was after he died. I went into the shed and he was there, and I picked him up and held him and cried. The dreams felt so real, I could feel his fur and everything, and I'm not really sure if these are things I just imagined or because I've never had a ghostly encounter that is so close to me. Can someone give me an opinion? Well, it's possibly your cat. I don't know. I do believe that cats, are cats and dogs. They'll linger. They'll be around. I believe I've dreamt of my German Shepherd Xena a few times, and very, very lucid dreams, like it was real. I was there petting her and playing with her, and then it would get towards the end of the dream. For some reason, she would look at me, and there would be the sadness in her eyes, and then she'd have to walk away. And she kept looking back with that, sadness in her eyes, but keep walking and look back and walking, and I knew that she was leaving, and I didn't want her to, but, I would call her, like, come here, no, come here, now, come here. And she just wouldn't. And then it would be over, and I remember waking up feeling so sad, but, those bonds that we have with these animals are just amazing. They may not be human beings, but we sure love them just about as much. All right. Next one is Oregon, ladies and gentlemen. Oregon. You hear that, Don? I'm saying Oregon, not Oregon. Don chastised me the other night for saying Oregon. It's like, it's not Oregon, it's Oregon. Well, there you have it, it's Oregon, huh? Quit busting my chops. I'm taking you back to the first time I've ever seen a spirit or ghost. When I was about 5 years old, I began to feel like there was something else around me that I couldn't explain. Years, it said years pasted on, but I think it's years passed on. And then I was 12. I saw him for the first time. Keep in mind that this is a different spirit than the one I posted about in my other stories, which I have no idea what the hell that means. But anyway, I'll continue reading. I remember the day. It was April 5th, and it was a rainy day Like most days here in Oregon, I'd like to feel the breeze and hear the sound of the rain falling, so I often sit at my window and listen. Well, on this day I was sitting there and I began to feel like something was watching me. I turned and looked back into my room and saw a young guy. He looked like he was in his early 20s, floating towards me. Oh, no, that's creepy. I mean, if you see somebody, that's one thing. If they're floating towards you, that's a whole different game right there. So I sat in my window and watched it, and I was young and didn't know what to do. He came up and stood next to me and looked out the window. Then he turned and looked at me and said, "I'm Michael. I'm not going to hurt you. I always listen to the rain with you. It's relaxing." I didn't say anything to him because I was afraid like most people. Michael was around for a couple more years, and then one day he just up and left. A month later is when the new spirit arrived. Does anyone think this is connected? Let me know. I don't know. That's strange. You don't usually get vagrant spirits coming and going. Like I mean, if you see one, do they like do shifts? I don't know. That's a strange idea. Maybe they do. I don't know. Very strange. All right, the next one is coming from New York. New York. I've had a few scary experiences in my past. I kind of hate talking and remembering them because when it gets to my imagination working on overdrive, but I love scaring myself, so anyways, here it goes. I live on Long Island and know of many scary haunted places. When I was younger, I was always interested in ghosts, probably due to all those darn Goosebumps books I read. Anyone else read them? Not me. I never touched them. I'm trying to cut down, man. I've had two experiences in two homes I've lived in with my family, and the first experience was when I lived in Babylon down by the water. I'm pretty sure we had a poltergeist in our home. Ghosts can't move things, correct? No, not correct. I lived in a ranch home, and the downstairs was converted into a playroom for me and my siblings. Behind the playroom was another room which was separated by a door. Back there was a boiler, a bathroom, and the garage. The door leading to the boiler room would always shake violently whenever the boiler came on. My parents said the door would shake due to the boiler running, but can the boiler make a door shake like that? I wish I was older when I lived there so I could have questioned my parents more, but I was only in second grade. My brother was very interested in ghosts as well and had me do a seance with him to bring back the spirit of John F. Kennedy. So embarrassing, I know. But he had just learned about him in school, so he and I closed all the blinds and performed what he thought was a seance, which my brother ended up calling on other spirits. I remember that the room became darker, but that was about it. I think that having a seance may have opened up a door because after that there were a few odd occurrences that traveled on with us to our next home. Another embarrassing thing to have happened that I feel so silly talking about is that one night while I was sleeping, I rolled over and saw a dead animal staring at me. I looked at the dead animal, or the dead sandy camel. So weird. I just remember freezing and slowly backing up into my wall and putting the covers over my head. The last scary thing to happen here, my mom and I both witnessed. My mother and I were sitting on the couch watching television, and we had one of those squeaky baby toys sitting on the TV stand, and all of a sudden, something smacked the toy off the TV stand with such force that it actually made the toy squeak. I thought that was the scariest thing that happened, and my mother told me it was the wind. You damn winds. I hate when the wind does that. I don't think that was the wind, probably. Unless they was it a tornado or what the hell's going on? That's a hell of a wind. All right, the next one's West Virginia. All right, so let's see what's going on in West Virginia. In the month of April 2007, my mom was diagnosed with cancer. I just couldn't believe what I was hearing. My mom and I were so close, We were as close as a son and mom could be, and she was my world. My wife and I stood through it all with her, and she seemed to do fine with the cancer until one day she just seemed to get more sick than ever, so naturally it scared me to death. So we took her back to the doctor, and he suggested we start chemotherapy immediately. Well, I was all for it. At first, she didn't want to do it, but I was able to talk her into it, and she trusted me as I had taken care of her when she was sickly before. And as time passed, she did better, and I truly thought it was helping. I was only fooling myself because the cancer was growing worse. She was in and out of the hospital all the time, and I took leave from work because at times she wouldn't take the medicine for anyone but me. My wife and I fed her as she could no longer do it herself, and she said she felt as if though she was being a burden. I made sure she understood that no one ever thought that, and I would do it all over again for her if I could. On the 26th day of September 2007, at 6:15 a.m., she passed away. Well, I was crushed. However, the day of the funeral finally came and went, but something strange happened to me the evening of the funeral. I have experienced many things, but never anything like what I'm about to tell you. My wife and I had come home after it was all said and done, and she had went upstairs, and I remained in the downstairs, and I was close to the doorway of my mom's bedroom, and it was always as if someone or something was wanting me to come into her room. Well, my curiosity got the best of me, so I walked into her room, and the smell of baby lotion and Freedent gum was evident, something she loved when she was alive. I wanted to find out what those smells were and why they were always coming from, and I knew that there wasn't any around the house. As I began to leave the room, I was stopped at the door by something I couldn't see. The smells became so strong around me that it was incredible, but at the same time it seemed to change how I was feeling. If I could describe it as being like flipping a switch or maybe turning a knob, and that's maybe the only way I can say it. From that point out through the night, it was as if she never left. My mind was at ease, the love that seemed to sift through those smells and the feelings that came with it was so totally real. If the heavens above are like that, then for the people who are stricken with cancer of any other disease, no worries. Huh. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's a good experience. And the next one is coming from Nebraska. All right, let's see what's going on in Nebraska. It was freezing outside. Christmas is just around the corner, and we had just celebrated Thanksgiving, and I cannot say I was happy about the holidays at all. My parents had recently separated. My mom, sister, and I moved into one of the many apartments we would inhabit for the next few years, and life felt to be at about a very low point for me at this time. I was almost home. My hands were cold and they ached, as well as my feet and my nose, and my sister was trudging through the falling snow right behind me, whining that she was cold. Well, I took the key out of my pocket to unlock the door and dropped it. There was at least a half foot of snow, and I had dropped the key. You would think a big silver key ring shaped like a shoe with a gold key would be easy to spot on white snow. It seemed to have disappeared. My sister and I searched frantically for the key, and finally, after about 15 minutes, we found it right where I dropped it. We proceeded up to the house, split into 3 apartments, and we had the main floor apartment. A young couple was in the second floor, and a single man who was rarely there had the top floor. As we approached the side of the house, on the walk leading to the front door, the curtains moved aside about 8 inches. There was an older, time-worn hand pushing the curtains aside. I looked up, and there was a face, about what would be approximately 7 feet off the floor in the apartment. She appeared to be time-worn as well, very aged. She had steel gray hair and bright blue eyes, and she smiled. And I noticed that all of her teeth were pointed. Oh no, that's horrible. And I have never seen this face before, and I would have remembered those eyes and teeth. I stopped walking, staring at the window. The face stared right back, and I realized my sister was clinging to my arms from behind, and she was breathing very heavily as if to break into a sob. She said, "Kim, do you see that lady in the window? Who is it?" I told her I did see the lady and I did not know who it was, but we would go to the house and find out. She screamed and pulled on me, begging me not to go to the door. My mom wasn't due home for at least another 2.5 hours, so what were we supposed to do? Stay outside and freeze? I was not going to the neighbors. I did not know any of them in the building, and this house was positioned so that there were no houses on either side or behind for at least the equivalent of a half a city block. As I mentioned, we moved a lot, and so I didn't know anyone. I told my sister, 4 years younger than I, to wait near the street for me to go to the house. If I did not come back out or call for her to come in, she would need to run the half a block to the neighbors and get help. Remember, this is way before cell phones. Well, she grudgingly agreed, and I sure sounded a lot braver than I felt. As I got around to the front door, I wondered if the face was still in the side window, and I peeked around the side of the house to the window and saw only the curtains swaying pretty rapidly. I put my key in the door and turned and pushed, but the door would not open. I pushed again and nothing. I then started to get angry, and I started praying that my sister and I would be able to get in and get warm, that whoever was messing with us would knock it off for now so we could be warm. I pushed on the door again, and it finally opened. Whew. The room was dark, the only light coming from the swaying curtains in the Christmas tree, and I reached out to turn on the light switch and felt something cold and tingling grab my hand. It felt like cold tree branches wrapping around my hand, and I jerked my hand back, shook it, and kept praying in my head. I reached out again and turned on the light, and I saw nothing. Everything appeared as it did before leaving that morning, except for the 3-foot Christmas tree we had up on a table had fallen over, and the lights were on the tree were turned on. I know I had unplugged it because of the fire hazard. Oh well, I walked through the apartment, not too hard as this was a very small place, and saw and felt nothing, so went out to get my sister. As my sister came in the house, I closed the door and locked it, and we began to get all of our outer winter gear off. The Christmas lights on the tree kept turning on and off. I checked the cord and the fuse, and it all seemed okay, so I unplugged them to be safe. Well, that didn't stop them from turning on and off. I distracted my sister from the lights by offering to make a snack. We went into the kitchen, and as we entered the kitchen, the back door flew open along with the back screen door, and all the wind and snow blowing in all over. Remember, I just checked this door in my walkthrough, and it was deadbolted. We did not even have the deadbolt key to lock or unlock this door, and it was the type that required a key on both sides. I ran to the door to close the weather out and saw the weathered old woman kind of drifting across the back lot with her face to me, drifting backwards. The odd grin in her pointed teeth never changed, nor did the piercing stare of the cold blue eyes. Then she vanished about 30 feet from the door. This is one event from our time in that tiny apartment we only inhabited for 8 months. But I will share more if everyone is interested. If this one is too boring so far, let me know, and I will not continue. That's really interesting. It's a bizarre story. But could it be real? I guess. Yeah, I don't know. It's a really profound events. But remember, these are children too, so they tend to see spirits more easily than adults do. And why that is, I have a lot of theories, but I don't know. They just seem to not be as clouded as adults are as far as their perceptions. So, very cool stories, though. But you never know. Could be real. Could just be creative writing. I can't be sure. But a great story either way. Great conversation piece. The next one is coming from Iowa. How are we doing on time, by the way? How are we doing? We've been at this for 35 minutes. I can't believe how fast time goes on this show. It's just amazing. Just amazing. So let's go to Iowa. First of all, my girlfriend and I moved into this house about 4 or 5 months ago, and it's a really old house built in about 1915. Yeah, it's plenty old. When we first got here, everything seemed nice and pleasant. But there's a bedroom which is connected to the master bedroom that gives us a strange feeling. I have 3 cats and always keep the doors to that spare bedroom closed. But whenever that room is open, our cats go in that room and poop everywhere. Oh man, that'd be frustrating. They always use their litter boxes and never go crap anywhere else in the house. But also, about a week or 2 ago, I had my niece over, who's about a year old, 1 year and some odd months old. And when my girlfriend and I tried to make her go into the spare bedroom, she just would not step foot into that room and started crying. Once not near the room, 2 seconds later, she seemed just fine. I don't know what's going on. Another thing that happened last night, which made me really take a second look, is first off, my sister-in-law's mother died 2 days ago. Don't know if this has anything to do with anything, but just last night while I was upstairs asleep, trying to sleep, my girlfriend was downstairs in the living room watching television and browsing the internet. By the way, the lights were off, and she said that she was just sitting there when all of a sudden she heard something. All of the cats were in the living room in her sight, and the noise kept happening, and then the cats looked like they were staring at something. One of the cat's hair started to stand up on her back. My girlfriend then called my name and heard me respond from upstairs. My girlfriend was wondering what was going on, so she got up and flipped on the lights to find out the cat's food dishes made their way from the kitchen to the front door area. Not very far to kitchen to the front door, about 15 to 20 feet. She then came upstairs and told me what had happened. I do believe her because one time at my mother's house, which is old as well, my mom's dog had died. And a couple of days later, my girlfriend and I were sitting in the living room where no one else was home, and it was silent as can be. And we heard my mom's dog whining, just like it did a few days ago when it was still alive. I've always had some somewhat weird stuff happen. I have older brothers that have had a lot of crazy stuff happen to them as well. Seeing things moving, hearing things. My question is the house I'm living in haunted, or is it just me? Is my family cursed? I've always thought that my family and I were haunted. We always have the worst luck in the world, and when the bad stuff only happens to my family and no one else's. Well, I don't think that that's possible. I mean, it may feel that way, but that's a pretty huge statement. I think everybody's fighting the good fight, brother, whoever you are. Crazy questions always cross my mind that I do not like to think of. And did one of my ancestors sell their soul to the devil to curse this family? Am I crazy? P.S. My father had committed suicide, and I think that his spirit lives in my mother's garage, a place where he really spent a lot of time working on cars and things like that, even though the event did not take place there. Sorry for rambling on, but bad and weird stuff has happened to me and my family members alike. So is it the house, me, family? I need answers. Well, sometimes it feels like, everything bad happens to you and nobody else, but I really think everybody's dealing with their own stuff. It might feel like it's just you dealing with heavy stuff, but we're all carrying our bags. We're all carrying our luggage. And, we're all fighting the good fight. So I don't think it's any one person. I just think, but part of the spiritual activity this family experiences could just be due to the fact that they all have sensitivity. They're all spiritually sensitive to some degree or another. Maybe they don't realize it. Maybe they're not tuned into it, but it doesn't change anything. And there does seem to be a correlation between sensitive people and them being the focal point for a lot of hauntings. It comes up all the time. So I think that's a possibility. But is curses real? Yeah, I think curses are real. But I don't know. I also think, though, the more that you believe in curses, the more they become real, So just my 2 cents, but I don't know. It does bother me, though, when people say, oh, only us. It only happens to me, nobody else. Excuse me, hold on. I think, we're all lifting our load, and that's always heavy. Not that there aren't good times, too, but you know what I'm saying. So, how are we doing now? That's a pretty good story, though. I do believe very much what that person's saying, but I think that their perceptions are a bit skewed because it feels like it's always them. I don't, however, believe that it's just them. Some people are just, magnets for the paranormal. I don't know why, but some people are. So, maybe this one. No, maybe not. I don't know. Let's see. All right, the next one's coming from South Carolina. This one's pretty quick, so let's see what's going on here. My mom told me about this when I was a teenager over 20 years ago. This took place way back in the 30s, and I don't know what was wrong, but my mom had been very sick and was in bed, and one night everyone was in bed and asleep except for her, and she was just laying in bed, and she heard the dogs outside barking, and she noticed that they were barking on the side that faced the cemetery near the house. Next thing she knew, her great-grandmother, who had died months before, came walking through the wall, and she noticed that her great-grandmother had on the same kind of clothes that she would normally wear around the house. It was dark in the room, and my mom couldn't see into her face. She said it was like her great-grandmother didn't want her to see her face. She kneeled down beside my mother's bed as if she were praying, and she stayed there for a few minutes praying, and then she got up and turned around and walked back out through the wall. The dog started barking again towards the cemetery. My mom said her great-grandmother never said a word to her or didn't even look at her. My mom was too shocked to have her be afraid, and the next day she felt well enough to get out of bed. This is a true story. My mother and grandparents always told my brothers and myself about ghost encounters, and they said truly happened to them. I can believe it. I truly can. You realize they got battery-powered skateboards now? There's an ad right under this story. It's like, really? You got to put batteries on a skateboard now? You just can't push with your foot? Is that too much work now? I don't know what's going on. You guys seen that movie WALL-E? It's like everybody's laying in those lounge chairs going everywhere. It's like, how far are we away from WALL-E here if we got to put little motors on skateboards now? Oh, man. Anyway, I don't know why the hell I had to say that, but it just hit me as funny. It's like, really? Battery motors on the skateboard? Okay. All right. Welcome to the future. Where's your chips? Oh, God. We're just going to be blobs of fat. I'm already a blob of fat, but I'm working on it. Yeah. Well, you love skateboarding, Lewis. Why don't would you get electric motor on yours? Oh, that's funny. Elaine says, I'm married to a therapist. Do you think you have problems? Oh, my God. That's awesome. All right, let's see what's next here. We're going to go to Massachusetts. Oh, this one has to do with the cemetery. It's quite long, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned for this story. All right. In 97, I moved back into the house I had lived in as a teenager, which was on the Hudson-Marlborough border. My parents were going through a divorce at the time, and the house was for sale. For insurance purposes, I was asked to live there until it sold. The plot of land the house was on once belonged to the Goodale family, whose old homestead still stood a few miles away. They had been used mainly as farmland, and I remember finding old rotted-out metal buckets in the woods behind the house, and also seeing ancient wagon trails indented into the ground and that were now almost hidden by the blueberry bushes. To give you a little history in the land, the Goodale house was built around 1600s and is touted as the area's oldest house. I can believe it. Jesus, 1600s, that's old. It was also a stop on the Underground Railroad, and it is a clapboard salt box. I don't know what clapboard salt box with the diamond-shaped panes of glass in the windows. Sounds pretty, but I don't know what that means. And there's a family that still occupies the home and lives as the Gooddales once did, without electricity and other modern conveniences. And the family were also the subject of a book called Hawaii, written by James Michener. About a mile from this house is the Gooddale Cemetery, and it's a perfectly square plot of land surrounded by fieldstone walls and shaded by old oaks and maples, and it seems like a very odd place for a cemetery to be, but obviously the land has been developed around it during the 200 plus years it was used as a burial ground for several generations of the Gooddale family. One evening in the late summer of '97, myself and my boyfriend at the time decided to go for a walk after dinner, and as it was approaching fall, the evenings had grown much more suitable for outdoor activities, and it was approaching dusk, but still light enough to see, and we were walking towards the cemetery when, like we had done many evenings before, when all of a sudden there appeared to be something that looked like a fire, but this is the only way I could describe it, moving through the cemetery. It moved behind the tree, and then it was in front of headstones, then behind them, and we both stopped dead in our tracks. My boyfriend actually put his arm around me to keep me from going further, and we both looked at each other, and I said, "What the heck is that?" He said, "Well, I don't know." Rather than run in the other direction, which in hindsight would have been the best thing to do, we ran to the cemetery. We looked around the old headstones, and there was nothing we could see that would cause that fire-like glow. We stood back in the spot where we first seen it and waited for a car to go by, and there was no reflection that even closely resembled that. I was convinced that we had seen something that was not of this world. My boyfriend remained skeptical. We returned to the house to grab a camera and went back to the cemetery, and I asked out loud for permission to take some pictures. I did not feel any negativity and began snapping away, and I then said thank you out loud and started walking home. I took a picture of my boyfriend during the walk home to finish up the film, and then brought the pictures the next day to be developed, and I swung by after work to pick them up, all the while feeling like I was coming down with something. There in the photos were zigzagging lights in fluorescent pinks and greens, none of which were visible at the time. What was most shocking was in the photo of my boyfriend, there were little red lights behind him that resembled flames. All that was back there behind him were the woods. I drove by that area afterwards, and there was nothing in that flash that could have reflected off of, nothing at all. That night I was getting ready for bed, and I kept thinking I was seeing things out of the corner of my eye, and it looked almost like a tree branch or like a dark lightning bolt. If anyone else has experienced this, I would love to hear. And the air started to get heavy and oppressive. I've never felt anything like this before. I was starting to feel like I was having difficulty breathing in the house, and finally, I fell asleep. I woke at 5 a.m. to the worst pain I've ever felt. My kidneys felt like they were swollen and were pressing against my ribs. It was excruciating, and I woke my boyfriend crying, and he took me to the hospital. I ended up with a severe kidney infection, and they gave me antibiotics through IV and then sent me home. I was still feeling very uneasy in the house, and I was starting to think that I had ticked off whatever it was we saw at the cemetery, and it followed us home. By all accounts, the antibiotics should have worked. In a few more days, I found myself in even more pain and went to my regular doctor, and she prescribed more antibiotics. The heaviness in the house seemed to persist. One evening, I heard something that sounded like a board game falling from the top shelf of the closet. Upon inspection, nothing had fallen. I was growing weaker and weaker despite the pictures from the cemetery. My boyfriend believed we had caught something on film, but was not convinced it was paranormal. I could no longer stand to be in the bedroom as I was feeling preyed upon. I started sleeping on the couch in the living room where the air was less oppressive. My boyfriend did not feel any of this. Finally, I went back to the doctor's, and I was getting gradually worse. The doctor sent me to the hospital, where I received antibiotics intravenously for 3 days. Upon returning home, I knew that whatever was there was gone. I started to get better. I'd lost 11 pounds within a few days, and this could all be a coincidence, but I will say that I have never been into a cemetery to take pictures since. After that incident, I posted the photos online, and I got few responses about the fluorescent zigzagging lights, but no one could answer for sure what the little red lights behind my boyfriend were. I was told that the fluorescent lights were actually phosphorus escaping from the bones of the deceased. Really? Wow. Okay. And when the flash from the camera hit it, it caused them to glow. I've never heard anything like that. I've never passed that cemetery again without feeling of apprehension. I believe whatever we saw is still there, watching, waiting. Well, thank you for reading. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Okay, so they apparently couldn't find the pictures to post with their report. But, ladies and gentlemen, I've heard a lot of explanations for lights and weirdness and stuff. And most often, lights and weirdness in photos is just people not understanding the mechanics of lights and apertures and reflectivity and light leaks, etc. And so, it's just misidentification. But sometimes there's anomalies that just defy explanation. When they do defy explanation, I don't think that making up stories of phosphorus leaking from bones 6 feet underground would phosphorize and luminesce because of a flash and make streaking patterns into film. That's just, I've never heard something so stupid. I know some people try really hard to hang on to that paradigm. It's like they just desperately want to hold on to their reality the way they know it, the way it is in their mind and in their existence. But sometimes, those explanations are more bizarre than just saying, hey, you might have captured spirits on film. I mean, really. Phosphorus from the bones of dead people leaching through the soil and luminescing with a flash. I think I might have just heard everything. I'm not sure. That is a bizarre explanation. I'm beside myself. Is there any possibility to it? I guess maybe. But I don't know. That's a completely new one to me, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know how that's possible. And if it was leaking, is it leaking in these nice tight patterns and zigzagging patterns? If it was leaking through the soil, it would be a diffusion. It would be maybe a haze at best. If that ideology would work at all, it would be a haze or maybe a light fog. But I don't know. People try really hard to hang on to their paradigm, and it's their prerogative, I guess. But you guys will have to let me know in the comments what you think about that. Or you guys in the chat room could let me know what you think about that. It's a gas leak. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe gas leaks luminesce too. I think whatever's under the dirt there's far done leaking gas. Oh, anyway. I think that's going to wrap it up for tonight, though, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you've enjoyed this journey through the Paranormal Portal in our Bedtime Stories From Beyond. I always enjoy bringing them to you, and I'm hoping that you'll continue to keep coming back and keep spreading the word about the portal. It's been growing amazingly. Sounds like, who said that? Is that D? Oh, that's Cryptid Miss. Yeah, Lee. Yeah. Lee McNew says, yeah, Brent, sounds like BS to me too. Exactly. It's like, wow, that's a reach right there. But spread the word. Let everybody know about the portal. Let them know that we have a podcast as well. And check out the podcast if you haven't already. And thanks to Revolver Podcast for making that possible. And special thanks to Mr. Wes Germer and to Tony Merkel for all the work they're doing promoting those on their sites. I mean, it's just really helped out a ton. They've really brought a lot of attention and recognition to what we're doing, and I'm completely humbled by that. Thank you guys, and thanks to Duke at World Bigfoot Radio for all he's done to help us out, to raise above and to be noticed in this wide world of paranormal shows. And also Bigfoot Odyssey. Thank you guys so much over there for all the promotion you guys have been doing on our behalf. And likewise, check out all those shows, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't. Every one of those shows is top notch, really amazing shows. Well done. People that are raising the bar, and I'm just trying to keep up because they do really incredible shows. So, and it's just a really neat community that we have. We just have this really neat community of hosts and shows that are really, really there for each other. And that's really amazing to me. And I'm really honored to be a part of it. So, and I know Don feels the same way. So anyway, I'll be back tomorrow night. I hope you guys will be there with me, and we'll get into more bedtime stories. Maybe we'll do another cryptid show, or maybe we'll do some other kind of show instead of just ghost stories on tomorrow's bedtime stories, because I like ghost stories and they're amazing. They're really interesting and good, but there's a lot of paranormal out there, and there's nothing that says a bedtime story's got to be about ghosts. So we'll see what we can dig into tomorrow night. But love you guys. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody that's been in here with us tonight. Whether you're chatting or not, it really means the world. We really appreciate it. So good night, everybody. Oh yeah, check out Cryptids, Myths, and Mysteries with Lee McNew too. Lee, you've been here a bunch of times, been really wonderful and supportive to what we're doing. So, and you've got an amazing show yourself, brother. It's really up and coming. So, we'll talk to you guys later. We love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. All right, guys. Good night and sweet dreams.